Hello everybody, welcome to the broadcast. Welcome. Did you guys have a wonderful and lovely coronation and the swearing in of the King Charles III? I thought it was so lovely. I was dewy-eyed most of the morning. I thought it was so wonderful. I really love it. And some people, you know, Americans don't get the half of it and don't understand it, and so they're quite curious, like, why are you so entertained by? Are you entertained? You know, like an Ed Sheeran song. Not entertained by the fact that there is this absolute enthralling adoration for the British monarchy, England as a whole, and I just really love it. I always say that it's part of my roots, my heritage. Although I'm American born, you know, I know that I have loads of English within me. So that's probably why. Anyway, and if you notice in the background, I have not taken it down yet, because when Sawyer's book is published on June 8th, we are going to celebrate, because the book is based in Nuneaton in the UK. So that is going to be extraordinary, and I'm very excited. And so I left the decor up because I think it's wonderful and I love it, and it makes me happy anyway when I'm running about in the cottage. And so I thought it would be nice. So I thought that as I was painting on Sawyer's book, and I needed to wait until the drawing process for one of the illustrations, I thought I would pop in and give a little broadcast of illustrations of manifestations that I have accomplished, because I think that when you actually hear someone that has those particular experiences and the way that they went about it, and there's proof in the pudding, so to speak, it's kind of rather nice to hear of other people's manifestations and how it came about. So I thought I would give you a few examples from my own personal life, and I think I've done this before, but I wanted to give a few of the most recent ones because I think it would be quite encouraging. And did I say that once already? And pardon me, because I have not done any housekeeping as far as making sure my makeup and chapstick is on. I just thought I would do it off the cuff, you know, just pop in and out real quick, and that it might be kind of nice. That I recently manifested that I wanted to share with you, not as a boasting or, you know, oh, look at me, a pat on the back or anything of that nature, but I just thought it's nice because, you know, when I'm watching videos, or in the past when I used to watch loads of videos of like manifestation and things of that nature, I mean, I really don't do it too much anymore because I don't feel the need to, because I've figured out a system that works most importantly perfectly for me. So I don't really need to look, you know, as being taught like a student, because I got sounds arrogant, but I feel like I'm more of a teacher and less of a student, because I've spent so much time working on manifesting and understanding the laws, you know, the laws of the universe. Okay, so I thought I recall when I used to watch videos, I would never see really people sharing examples. Now, there might be one or two occasions that they would show examples, but not often. And I don't know if that's because a majority of the people are very apprehensive about sharing personal experiences in their lives about what they've done, or some people are very cloaked in this mysteriousness, is that a word? This mystery of how I do things, because if you keep everything cloaked within like other people not knowing like how your strategy is, that they will always need to come back to you to receive more information, as if you can't do it on your own. But there's a lot of people out there that are I wouldn't say so, I've just found some people that are a bit shady, you know what I mean? Bit dodgy. It's a bit dodgy. And they don't want you to know how to do things or what works for you or them, or the different ways that you can use the laws that we've all learned from books and things of that nature, like teachers back in the past, and because let's be honest, okay, they're not getting the information. I'm here to tell you, no one's getting the information like they just thought of it, like by their own selves. They're taking it, and most of the time they're parroting that information. I've gotten loads of my information in the first probably 4 years. It was a lot of Abraham Hicks, but I felt that Esther was a bit limited in the sense that I always still felt like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's very lovely teachings and all that sort of thing, but I always felt like there was still this lack of sustainability in understanding. Like, it was always like, how like you always have to go to the well to keep getting more water, like, instead of feeling like, no, I know exactly what to do, like, I know how to do this now I take it and figure it out. That's why I love Neville so much, is Neville Goddard, because he tells you exactly what to do, and then you are to go within yourself and learn the teachings. The other thing that is so beneficial and lovely instruction from Neville Goddard was that you did not need to rely on another person outside of you. When you're relying on a God outside of you, you've got the wrong God, because everything that is capable of being done is done by you. So it's not like, I always felt like Abraham had this thing of, God love him, God bless him and everything, but it was always the universe. It was still something outside of you that was never, like, if you aligned with the universe, or it just still felt very religious, like the universe will give this to you, instead of knowing that you are God within. And so knowing that I am a God, that I don't need anyone outside of myself to get anything that I want. And that means nothing. I need God. I need no one else outside of myself. And I don't need to wait upon the universe. I get whatever I want. And the only limit is that if I have a lack of faith and not believing in it, And so that's the thing that I love so much about Neville, is that you feel a sense of freedom and like absolute control over your life, because, as I said, we are all gods, right? So yeah, so I got that housekeeping out of the way. Now, what I wanted to talk about was just recently. Okay, so one particular one is about a month, no, it was about 2 months ago, 2.5 or 3 months ago. Jeffrey Sean, and this is a beautiful experience. I'm going to tell you, I'll probably go more in depth in it because it's a good teaching moment as well, is that Jeffrey Sean had gotten into a little fender bender, let's just say, and he gets a citation from that. And it was fine, whatever. No one got hurt, anything like that. The citation said, like, you pay the ticket, and then you also, like, if you don't want the 4 points, because he's got a perfect driving record for like the last 25 years. He's never had a ticket, nothing. But they were going to give him 4 points on his driver's license, and he did not want that because he has a perfect, safe driving record of so long, and he didn't want to mess that up. So he was like, you could take this course if you wanted to, and then it will remove the blah, 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 remove the points off the driver license. And so he's like, oh yeah, absolutely, I'm going to do that, So long story short, I don't know how to do long story short, my darling. I'm so sorry. But anyway, he took the class. He did not want to take the class. And this is where, like, this is such a good teaching moment, okay, my darlings? So Jeffrey was like, oh, would you take the class for me? And I'm like, I don't really want to take the class. I'm not the one that got the citation. You need to take the class. It's like 4.5 hours online. I don't want to take the class for you. And he's like, oh, just please, please, please. And I'm like, no, I don't really want to. But anyway, I caved and I said I would, okay? Now, first thing to notice is I did something that I did not really want to do, okay? So that put resistance on my path as I was doing this class, because I'm like, I don't want to spend 4 hours doing this. I don't want to do it. But for whatever reason, it was probably me feeling bad or something. I don't know what the bloody reason was for it, okay? And so, but I caved and I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it, you know? And so one instruction I want to give you is do not ever say yes to something that you mean no to, because you're going to create resistance. And you will also create a sense of agitation or a bit of like resentment, because you're like, I didn't really want to do that anyway. It's not my responsibility. And so I've really worked hard through the years not to want to rescue men, because I have a big tendency. If you read my blog and you've watched any of my videos through the past, you know that I work really, really hard not to be subjected to anyone and trying to save anyone. I won't save a wounded cat. I won't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to feed the whole neighborhood of stray feral cats. I'm not going to save the world. It's not my job to save the world, you know, save my spouse, save my children, save my neighbor. It's not my job. What I've learned is don't do that. Don't do that. But I did it. It's fine. It's fine. So you have which I thought was you had 90 days to do the class. I was like, oh, okay, I'll be able to, you know, square in a little bit of, you know, pop in and out like I've done with this video and say, oh, 30 minutes I'll spend that day. And then, and equivalents over, you know, 3 months, that's not a big deal. 4 hours is, you know, not a big deal over the span of 3 months, right? 90 days. Well, little did I know that in Florida, it was 60 days. So I get the class done and I mail it in, and it's 2 days late from the expired time that they can receive it to get the 4 points off the driver license. This is where my manifestation comes in, because you can shift reality, okay? So I went ahead, and then I have to tell Jeffrey, darling, I got a notice today saying, no, they didn't take the 4 points off. You know, he paid the ticket, but they're not going to take the, you know, certification that you took the class. He took the class. And he was like, oh my God, you know, he's very upset because he had a perfect driving record for like I said, like 25, 30 years, you know. Not since he was like a teenager did he have a ticket or anything. So he's a bit, you know, disgruntled about this. And then obviously I'm feeling a bit bad because I'm like, I just wasted 4 hours because I did the class and they're not going to use it. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to, and they said on the citation thing, it's like, if you have any questions, call the main office or whatnot of the clerk of the court, you know. So I did. And I said, you know, you know, I told them the whole spill. And she says, well, I'm sorry. Yes, we did get your certification in that you finished it, but we can't take it. You know, we just can't take it. And I was like, oh, okay. And I said, is there nothing you can do? And she said, well, I mean, if you wanted to, not many people have ever done it, but if you wanted to, you could send a personal handwritten letter to the judge and ask him if he would make an allowance for this one time because you've got a perfect record, blah, 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 right? And I was like, oh, okay, I'll go ahead and do that. Now, so this is important to notice, okay? So seemingly on the screen space of reality is that dawn, you know, where most people will leave it at that. Like they're thinking like you can't shift reality and make reality change, but you can absolutely. It's how I revise Sawyer's death. It's how I do everything. It's how I had I manifested no trial. It's how I manifested my soon to be home with no mortgage, no payment. I didn't pay for it. It's how I do everything. It's how, like, if I want a particular thing and I don't want to have to pay any money for it, or I'm like, how I manifested the taxidermy, which I'll tell you in just a moment about for Oliver Twisty Topsy. How I do everything, and it's how you can do everything too, and I'm sure you do, but I just wanted to, like I said, come to you and tell you. Okay, so I thought, okay, well, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the letter to the judge, okay? But that's not the only thing that I was focused on, because I was going to wield the way that I wanted that outcome. And if you know anything about Neville's Law, you know that he talks about you can do a breathing technique. There's a breathing technique that you can use of his, and there's also the sleep technique, which I do. Those are the two main things that I do all the time. And obviously, I also sleep with beliefs, and I just switch it up often, you know, every 3 months or something like that, because I've gotten the foundational beliefs of my self-concept. But there's little things that pop up sort of that, you know, I'm like, you know what, I really want to work on that particular thing, or I really want to work on that little thing that's kind of, you know, that I've noticed, oh, that kind of bothered me in my real life day to day or something. Like if someone said something and I'm like, oh, that's hitting on a wound of a worthy issue. So I'll work and I'll start listening to beliefs, you know, the beliefs that I have for my worthiness, because I have all lists of different ones, you know, a career, concept, self-concept, worthiness, feeling chosen, money, my artistry, my home. I mean, I have so many lists of them. But anyway, point being that after I mailed the thing off to the judge, which I did, you know, made sure it was the signature signed and that he got it and everything of that nature, I did the breathing technique. And the breathing technique is you breathe in and you breathe out. Like you kind of get into a state of like a trance sort of. Like, have you ever been daydreaming and you're just like, you're thinking just kind of happy thoughts, but you're kind of like in and out, like maybe you're at the beach or something and you're laying out in the sun and you're just like, oh, you're just enjoying it, but you're not really, you're kind of like hazy, you're daydreaming. This is what I do. And so what I do is I create this in my mind. I create exactly what the outcome is going to be. So for example, and it needs to be about 10 to 15 seconds. And I play that in my mind, like I close my eyes. I usually put on like a binaural beat, or I put on ocean waves, which you can find on YouTube. They have them where they're just, you know, 12 hours long, and you can just push that and do your timer. I don't usually do a timer on the breathing technique, but I breathe in and I breathe out. I breathe in and I breathe out. And what I do, to me, is I tighten my stomach muscles. Now, I don't know if this would help you and if you even need to know this, but the reason I do that is because, well, it's something that I learned when I was a mermaid, okay? And so your stomach muscles are like massively important in your body, okay? It has to do with loads of your breathing, okay? Because that's, you know, basically your chest and your tummy and your stomach muscles are the core, okay? They're the core of your being. And so for some reason, it seems to always help me. I don't know, maybe it's because I am really a mermaid. And, but it really helps me to tighten my core muscles. I don't know why I shared that, but maybe someone might use that as a benefit. And then I just breathe in and I breathe out. I breathe in and I bring that picture, you know, that visualization in my mind. Like for instance, for the judge, I just pictured a man. Like, I don't know what the man looked like, but all I could see was the man's hand. And I thought, you know, one of those things that they clink down. And I envision the hand and he's clinking it down, you know, what do you call that thing? You know, the wooden thing that they pound, you know, like the case is over, whatever. And and then it's like, he puts that down. This is my visualization. And then I see him take a pen and go, check mark, check mark. And I know that that means I'm letting this go through. I'm going to check this off. I'm going to approve that, because that means I'm ticking it off, like, yes, ticking it off. Yes, I got a check mark on it. And then I just keep visualizing that particular thing in my mind. And as I'm breathing in and out, then I breathe and inhale and exhale. And then I exhale as if I'm sending all of my energy into the universe. And that means that it is done. Okay. And so if you read Neville's book, this is exactly what he does. And I'm telling you in verbatim, you know, like, how I do it. And so then I do nothing. I do nothing. I wait for the letter to come in the mail. I wait for the email. I wait for the call. I wait for someone to say they received it. I know that it is done, okay? And I don't do anything else. And so what happened was, when the lady told me that, and she said, well, you could send the letter to the judge. I sent the letter to the judge, and I didn't think about it anymore, okay? So 2 days later, I get a letter, and well, Jeffrey gets a letter in the mail saying that, now see, this is another way that reality is not showing me that my manifestation is done, okay? 3D reality is still showing me, no, it's not done. But you don't freak out. You continue to have faith. You press forward, no matter what the circumstance is that comes up, okay? So he gets a letter and it says, your license is going to be suspended by this particular date. And you need to pay this particular amount, okay? And you will lose your driving privileges. But I knew that manifestation was already done. Like, he got the points taken off and everything was clear and fine. So I didn't do anything. I had already sent the letter to the judge. So I was ignoring that, but not ignoring it in the sense that, like, I'm not going to, you know, follow up. Okay. Because this is where people don't understand. There's a fine line between Caesar law and universal law. You've got to recognize that there's a difference there, but not putting effort. It is focus plus effort. Minus effort equals manifestation. Focus minus effort equals manifestation. Most people would have seen that and go into this efforting, like, oh my God, it's not working. Oh my God, I need to call. Oh, this is, and they frantically see, but I didn't do that because I'm like, no, that's not faith. That's efforting if I were to do that. The effort wasn't, I don't look at making a phone call as effort. Now, and I will tell you that I pre-paved this as well. So it says, if you have any, have any questions or anything, you need to call this number. So when we got the letter, I waited for the morning, and when I did a manifestation, I did my meditation, and I said, you know what? Everything's going to be lovely. I pre-paved before I even got on the phone and made the call, okay? So a lot of people don't do these things. They don't think everything needs to be methodically worked through, because I don't want to get on the phone and then be like, it could have been, if I didn't meditate or pre-pave, I might be on the phone for 5 hours, and then I'm going to get frustrated because I'm talking to someone, they can't get me through. I've been put on hold for 20 minutes. I didn't want any of that. So you always think ahead, okay? Think ahead of the situation. So when I woke up the next morning, I said, I'll make a phone call just to make sure everything's good and go. And so I woke up, I meditated, and I said, you know what? Everything's going to be fine. I'm going to get through. There's going to be no waiting. I'm going to have the perfect person that speaks English. I mean, that was important for me. They're going to put me right through to the correct department. I'm not going to wait. They're going to go, oh yeah, everything's lovely and fine, wonderful. They took the letter, the judge passed it. There's no points, and everything's clear. Okay, perfect, clear driving record. So that was what I expected. I expected that. I assumed that that was what I was getting, and I did. So I called. I was immediately picked up. I mean, I may have waited, 30 seconds or something like that, but that's fine. The man answered the phone. He said, okay. So I told him what the scenario was. My husband received the form saying, his license, and he says, okay, thank you. Could I have the case number? And I gave him the case number. He was like, oh, okay, just a moment. Let me do a follow-up on that and figure out what's going on, ma'am. And he came back within like 45 seconds or something. He's like, oh no, yeah, that case everything has been dismissed. It's fine. It's a clear record. The 4 points were taken off. Thank you so much. Is there anything else I can help you with? No, lovely, wonderful. Do I need to send a confirmation that everything's clear? No, we've already done it electronically. Everything's wonderful. Thank you. Have a nice day. That was it. So Jeffrey got the manifestation. So see, although it looked as if I had messed up because I didn't get it in on time, then I happened to talk to that lady and she said, yeah, it's never been done, but let's go ahead and, you could try it if you wanted to. And I did. It wasn't a big effort to like write a little letter, and that was not effort to me. That was just it was very easy. And it worked. So that can always happen with you with everything. And I thought that would be, something lovely to share. Now, I'm already 30 minutes in, so let me thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, I'm most affably yours. Till my next swim. Toodle pip, darlings.